Assalamualaikum everyone. Hi, this is the last part of Unit 3 Elasticity. Now let's move on to the applications of elasticity of demand. Price floor and price ceilings are government set prices. A price floor is a minimum price set by the government, usually above the market equilibrium, to protect producers. A common example of price floor is minimum wage. If demand is elastic, a high price floor can lead to a big surplus. For example, in agriculture, farmers may produce more than consumers are willing to buy at a high price, leading to excess stock. If demand is inelastic, the surplus is smaller because consumers do not reduce their quantity demanded much, even at high prices. A price ceiling, on the other hand, is a maximum price set below the market equilibrium, often to protect consumers. A common example is rent control. If demand is elastic, a price ceiling causes large shortages because consumers rush to buy more at a lower price, but producers are unwilling to supply enough. If demand is inelastic, the shortage is smaller since consumers are less sensitive to price changes. How does accounting relate to price floors and price ceilings? Accounting helps businesses and policymakers track the financial impact of price controls and elasticity. For price floors, like minimum prices in agriculture, accounting records help producers and governments measure surpluses. For example, how much unsold stock is piling up. It also tracks costs of storing excess goods or government spending if they buy the surplus. For price ceilings, like rent control, accounting helps landlords or businesses see how price restrictions affect revenue and profit. For governments, accounting tracks shortages, subsidies, and administrative costs of enforcing ceilings. Another example of government intervention is the imposition of taxes on goods, such as VAT and excise duties on cigarettes, petrol, and alcoholic drinks. When a tax is levied on a good or service, the supply curve shifts upward or to the left by the amount of the tax. This shift happens because producers now face higher costs and need a higher price to supply the same quantity. However, the market price does not increase by the full amount of the tax. Instead, the tax burden is shared between consumers and producers. The taxed amount is P2 minus C, which is the vertical distance between the original supply curve and the new taxed supply curve. Price increase to consumers is P2 minus P1. As you can see, consumers pay more, but less than the full tax amount. The difference between the full tax and the actual price increase is absorbed by the producers in the form of lower revenue or profit. This distribution of the tax burden between consumers and producers is known as tax incidence.